Welcome to Money Truth TV. Every day on this channel, we break down the real stories behind Africa's greatest business empires, the strategies, the lessons, and the truths that mainstream media never tells you. Today's story begins in 1977. In 1977, a young man from Kano, Nigeria, walked into his uncle's office with nothing but an idea and a request. He asked to borrow 500,000 naira. His uncle gave him the money. And with that single loan, that young man went on to build the largest and most powerful business empire the African continent has ever seen. His name is Aliko Dangote. He is currently worth over 13 billion United States dollars. And the story of how he built this empire from that 500,000 naira starting point contains lessons so powerful and so practical that by the end of this video, you will never look at money or opportunity the same way again. Let us go back to the beginning. Aliko Dangote was born on the 10th of April 1957 in Kano, in northern Nigeria. He came from a prominent Muslim trading family. His great-grandfather was one of the wealthiest men in all of West Africa, a legendary trader whose business network stretched across the entire region. So Dangote grew up in an environment where business was not just a career. It was a language, a culture, a way of understanding the world. But here is something most people get wrong about Dangote. They assume his wealth came from his family. They assume he was simply handed everything. This is completely false. Dangote has stated clearly in multiple interviews that he built his fortune himself. Yes, he came from a business family. Yes, he had access to guidance and a small initial loan. But the business he built, the decisions he made, the risks he took, those were entirely his own. At the age of 21, he approached his uncle and requested that loan of 500,000 naira. His uncle gave it to him with one condition attached: pay it back, no gift, no inheritance, a loan, with accountability. Dangote took that money and began trading commodities: cement, sugar, flour, rice, salt, everyday goods that every Nigerian needed every single day. He was not chasing glamour. He was solving a basic and constant problem: supplying the things people cannot live without. And this brings us to the first lesson from Dangote's rise. Lesson 1. Build your business around daily necessity, not luxury. When you sell something people need every single day, your market never disappears. Cement, sugar, and flour are not products people stop needing when the economy slows down. They are necessities. Dangote chose his arena carefully. He picked problems that guaranteed a permanent customer base. By the mid-1980s, Dangote's trading business was growing rapidly, and then he made the decision that would define his entire legacy. He decided to stop importing and start manufacturing. He thought, why should we keep paying other countries to make things we can make ourselves? Why should the profit from manufacturing leave Nigeria? Why should we remain dependent on external suppliers who can change their prices at any time? And so he began building factories on Nigerian soil. The Dangote sugar refinery was one of his first manufacturing ventures. Then came the Dangote flour mills. And then the project that cemented his position as Africa's most powerful industrialist, the Dangote Cement Company. Today, it is the largest cement producer in Africa. It operates in 17 countries across the continent. And it has made Dangote a household name in almost every African nation. This is Lesson 2. Move from trading to producing. When you trade, your income is limited by your margin. But when you produce, you control the raw material, the process, the quality, and the selling price. The leverage you have as a producer is exponentially greater than the leverage you have as a trader. Now let us talk about the project that may be Dangote's greatest achievement yet. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery in Lagos, Nigeria. This project has cost over 19 billion United States dollars to build, and when running at full capacity will process 650,000 barrels of crude oil every single day. Nigeria had been exporting its crude oil cheaply to other countries to be refined, then importing the refined fuel back at enormous cost. Dangote looked at this situation and saw the single largest business opportunity on the African continent. His refinery, when at full capacity, will meet all of Nigeria's fuel needs entirely and still have excess to export refined petroleum to the rest of Africa. This is Lesson 3. Solve problems at scale. Dangote does not think about serving one customer. He thinks about serving an entire continent. Lesson 4 comes from how Dangote managed his money in the early years. In the beginning, he reinvested almost everything back into the business. He was not buying expensive cars or living lavishly while the company was still growing. He was plowing profits back in, expanding, building, hiring. Every naira that came in went back to work immediately. He lived below his means for years while his business grew above everyone's expectations. Lesson 4. Reinvest aggressively in the early stages. And Lesson 5 is perhaps the most relevant for anyone living and working in Africa today. Dangote built in Nigeria. He built in Africa, not in London, not in New York. He built in a country with infrastructure challenges, with currency volatility, with complicated regulatory environments. He built where others were afraid to build, and he won. Lesson 5. Your environment is not your limitation. It is your opportunity. Every challenge in your local market that others complain about is a gap that someone with vision and courage can fill. So what does all of this mean for you? You may not have 500,000 naira to borrow today. You may be starting from a position far smaller than that. But the principles that built Africa's greatest business empire are available to you right now. Solve real problems, serve daily necessities, move from trading to producing when you can, reinvest aggressively, think at scale, and build where you are with what you have, starting today. Dangote did not wait for perfect conditions. The question is, what are you waiting for? If this story inspired you, subscribe to Money Truth TV right now. We bring you the real stories behind Africa's greatest business empires every single day. Subscribe. Share this with an entrepreneur in your life who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, which of Dangote's 5 lessons hit closest to home for you today?